So I'm going to talk about dialing in a machine and learning how to use a machine. I've been detecting for a lot of years, over 30 years, and right around 30 years. And I've used a lot of machines that have customizable programs, preset programs, and you have customizable programs that you can save. And I've gotten many programs from other users and tried to use those programs in my areas. And the dude didn't have a freaking rubber tire on the back of his rim. You see something every day. Really amazes you. Okay, where was I here? Anyway, you have to learn how to dial a machine. Machines have customizable programs for specific sites and for specific users, so you can save it on that site. But every time you come to that site, you're gonna have to tweak it just a little bit. Matters on the soil, the temperature, or the soil moisture, the temperature, the humidity, just a lot of factors. How much is left in the ground. Sites change from day to day, sometimes hour to hour, and definitely season to season. And I've gotten so many programs that just have not worked for me because I have different ears. I'm going for different depths, maybe, than their programs. My soil's different. I'm in a different density of iron. I have hot soil. If somebody else has a program on the beach, I'll use it because a lot of times beaches don't have a lot of magnetic. They have a lot of conductives in them. Salt is conductives, and so you're kind of limited on what programs you can use at the beach in conductive sand or in conductive sand. But when you're over soil, there's just so many variables. There can be a lot of iron near the surface, and there can be deeper targets. And I have, to this day, I don't know of any detector that can penetrate nails and hit on coin-sized targets more than 6 inches deep. Never happens, right? It'll hit on bigger targets, like relics and whatnot, but those coin-sized targets, like you see all these YouTubers doing these tests on these targets, elevate some nails above a coin and put some soil in there. Go bury a coin at 4 inches deep and put a nail over it or near it. See if your detector will hit it then with those same settings. Ain't gonna happen, right? Higher conductive targets will make iron false, give you high tones. It'll up average that iron that's near the surface. So you might think that that detector is hitting that higher conductive coin, but it is not. You take those same exact settings and you put it out in the wild, like around a bunch of nails, and you won't have those same settings for long. You're gonna have to dial the machine in. Every site is different, man. And that's why I haven't really been showing you guys a lot of tests. Nokta Legend doesn't really perform that great on tests. It does good on some tests, but like I've said many times, we're not hunting on a bench. We're not extracting targets out of open air. We are extracting targets from the earth. And the earth has different minerals, and there's different factors that go into getting deeper targets. Like the EMI, the humidity, the temperature, the amount of trash in the soil, the amount of foil in the soil, the amount of, if you're next to concrete, concrete affects a lot of detectors because it's dense ground. And if you're swinging over concrete or dense soil and then really a loose soil, your detector is going to be unstable. So you just have to fine tune detectors to certain sites. And if you're an iron, if you have some nails near the surface and you have coins deeper down, 4 or 5 inches, It's going to be a struggle for any detector to hit on it, right? You really got to get a lot of experience before you can really say that this detector is better than that one. You have to have experience on both machines or a lot of machines, and you have to do a lot of in-field testing too. I do a lot of in-field testing, and still a lot of the controlled tests that I do are really inconclusive because it's not the real world, man. I just want to know, I want to see the detector. I want to see how stable the detector is in iron, right? I want to hear that detector. I want to see, I want to, mostly I want to hear. I don't want to know the settings. I want to hear the detector, hear those tones come out of the iron, or hear those deeper tones, or hear the overload tones. And that's the hardest part of my channel, me getting that reality of, you know, getting the tones down right. I make a lot of videos and I have to delete a lot of them because the tones are just not quality. Sure, I might be finding good stuff, but the tones, I want you guys to hear the tones. It's the most important thing on metal detectors, always has and always will be. We are not hunting with silent metal detectors, right? We're not over there looking at our screen the whole time we're detecting, right? The way you get alerted by a signal is by these two things right here. And that's why I don't look at the numbers, because those higher conductive targets or those non-ferrous targets will make that iron false, give you an accepted false. And it's not hitting the non-ferrous target. It's actually falsing on the iron. And when you get an unstable detector over iron, you freaking know it. You know it because it's falsing on all the iron, right? It's just little blips and beeps and pops and beeps and pops, and you spend so much time rotating. You know, with the Nokta Legend, I drop my audio, my iron filter all the way down and run it hot, and then just adjust my tone break to suit wherever I'm at, because it's just less dialing in, right? It's less effort I have to put into that detector, because I only have to adjust one thing, just my tone break. I don't have to adjust my stability and my iron filter and all that stuff and get that balanced out that way. All I have to do is just run it hot on my filter, basically just take my filter out and tone break the undesirable targets up, so I get a rejection tone on my undesirable targets, so I can run my tone break up higher than iron and get away with it, and it's a lot less work, right? If I run my tone break down to the iron, right where iron's at, which is about 10 or 11, I have to do a lot of managing of my filters. I'm having to manage my filters, you know, as I go over different densities of iron, and I've been still hitting targets. I think in general I'm hitting more targets now that I'm using my tone break rather than my discrimination or my adjusting my filters as I go. With the Deus 2, it's not like that. With the Deus 2, the frequencies, you know, basically the programs is what's going to have the greatest effect on the performance of the machine, because they're at certain frequencies. On the Legend, you can just change your frequencies by a push of a button, and it's just easy, you know, it's just easy. Just a push of the button and you're changing frequencies. With the Deus 2, it's not quite like that. You have to change programs, and then when you change programs you have to make a bunch of other adjustments and dial it in again, right? So you have to keep on dialing your machine in. If that program, because the Deus 2 is a program frequency specific, so that program has predetermined frequencies that you cannot change within that program. The only way that you can change the frequencies in multi-frequency is to go to a different program, and that different program has different internal filters that you're not able to adjust. you know, a lot of high pass filters and a lot of band pass filters that you're not able to adjust through the settings. You try to, like on the Deus 2, you set up program number 1 and number 4 exactly the same tones, exactly the same discrimination, exactly the same audio response, the recovery, reactivity speed, and they perform it completely different with the same exact settings because they're different frequencies. And so it's just not as user-friendly with the Deus 2 because you got to keep in mind that it's program frequency specific, and it just takes a little bit longer to dial it in. But once you do learn how to get through that learning curve and how to dial the Deus 2 in, nothing can touch it, man. Nothing can touch it. But it just takes a lot more work to learn how to really how to dial in and tune the detector into different areas, you know, into trash and iron and EMI and hot soil and wet soil, and what frequencies, what programs, what frequency the programs are running in. It's not really super important knowing what frequency the program's running. It's just knowing what program is going to work for that area and getting to that program that's going to work. With the Deus 2, you know, the full tones, it's not working very well right now with these latest versions. Everybody knows that, you know. If you think that the Deus 2 works great in full tones, go to the Deus 1 for a few months, and you'll know what a good stable machine is in full tones. Deus 2 is not working well, and a lot of people agree with me. I've conferred with many people that the Deus 2 is not working well. They have some glitches still in the full tones multi-frequency, but they're figuring that out. You know, they'll hopefully with the next update, XP will have maybe some new tonal options too. So I'm really excited about that. If they can get this full tones figured out, and maybe get another tonal option, something's in the works. That'll be great. May not be on this next version that they'll figure it out, but hopefully soon. A lot of people are getting really impatient because the full tone's just not working on that machine. The Legend does not have fine increments of discrimination like the Deus 2 has. The Deus 2, you can adjust the discrimination in tenths, right? And with the Legend, it's only one, like 10 to 11 or 12, 10, 11, 10, 9, 8. You know, before we had the iron filter on there, I would run my tone break at 7 and run my recovery speed high, but I can't do that now. I can't run my tone break down low, it just falls on the iron. You know, it gives me a non-ferrous tone in the non-ferrous discrimination pattern, but now I can't do that. I have to raise my tone break up quite a bit there. It's just less dial-in, right? It's less of a hassle to tone break up higher, and I'm still getting non-ferrous targets out of the iron. It just doesn't make sense. Just learning it as I go, learning the nuances of the machines. But I usually don't tell people, you know, this is my program that I designed, you know, even after thousands of hours on a machine, the machine you will learn that machine as you go. There's just not one program that's going to do it for everybody. There are just so many variables in it. And I urge you to just try a lot of different stuff, you know. Try the tone break down low, and then just move it up higher and higher and higher, so you're not getting iron. I still dig out bottle caps and flat iron, but I'm not digging out nails. It's not falsing out nails with the higher tone break and a lower iron filter. But that's just this version right here, so it changes so much, right? On the next version, the Legend may change, right? it might change. It did change quite a bit from version 1.08 to 1.09, or 1.80 to 1.09, 1.7, 1.5. All the versions are different. That's pretty much with all machines. You know, it's good to be able to go back to previous versions and compare them, see which version you like better. But some versions will go deep, some versions will separate good, some versions don't work very well on all the machines, right? The Deus 2, the Deus 1, the Equinox, the Legend. All machines have, you know, those versions that don't really, that are not suitable to most users, so they just do away with them, or they're just not very popular with the end users. But if you want to learn how to dial it in the machine, don't get a program from somebody else. If you want to notch out targets, like have a coin program, you want to notch out targets, thank you for the jewelry. Thank you for the gold rings, because you are getting coins. Coins really aren't that valuable. You might find a couple valuable coins, but those gold rings pay off, right? Going for the iffy targets, going for those choppy signals. If somebody has their, if they have all the junk notched out, I mean, how can you notch junk out? You can't really notch junk out, because jewelry, gold rings, can read up any numbers, right? They can read up high, they can read up really, really low. I have found necklaces that read up below foil, you know, into the iron range, you know, $500–600 necklaces. That'll pay off a detector pretty darn quick, won't it? Right? You just got to dig it all, man. You know, hit a spot and just clear out the ground as you go. Clear out the ground every few hunts. Just dig a few targets and just roam around the park. Don't sit in one spot for too long. You know, just roam around and just go to the spots and dig out a few targets here and there. You know, work on it. It's a process, man. There's no magical detector, there's no magical program. You have to learn it, man. It takes effort. It's not freaking easy. So thank you for watching.